Next up is Voices of Change with your hosts, Leslie Acosta and Isa Richardson. Voices of Change is to connect, inform, and empower people to engage in social political change. Right here on USALA Radio.
Welcome, John. Welcome, Jordan. And welcome, Allison, to this special edition on Voices of Change. But before we get into the Hispanic Heritage Month and what does that mean and why we celebrate that for an entire month, let's talk about your experience. We'll start with John selecting this as an internship. John is studying journalism and he is working with our magazine, Usala Magazine, and he's going to be doing work around stuff that is currently happening here in our community. He's going to be highlighting stories specifically in the Latino community. So, John, welcome.
Thank
And
you.
tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you're an intern at Temple. I believe you're in your senior year
I
at
am.
Temple University, and
I
you're
am.
studying journalism. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a senior journalism student at Temple University. I transferred last year from Bucks County Community College, where I received my associate's degree in journalism. Outside of this, I'm also a reporter and a photographer for Levittown Now in the Bucks County, Pennsylvania area.
So tell me a little bit that experience for you. Levittown, that's in Bucks County.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're dealing with a specific demographic in Levittown.
Mm-hmm.
Now you are dealing with another demographic
Yes.
in north central Philadelphia, primarily a Hispanic population. Usala Media caters to approximately 187,000 Latinos living in this area and in 40 counties around the Philadelphia area. Tell us a little bit about that experience for you and how you feel about that.
It's been very different, but I'm a firm believer that you should always learn more about things that you're uninformed about. So this is something that I didn't have a lot of prior knowledge to, and I've been learning a lot more about since I came on board with all of you. And I think it's just important to get the news out to the whole population that your news can get out to, whether that's, you know, the white population, the Hispanic population, whoever it might be. I think it's important to keep everybody informed, and in doing work with somebody like USALA, where we are kind of targeting the Hispanic demographic in Philadelphia, I think that's very important.
Yeah, well, you're listening to Voices of Change on Usala Radio, and this is Usala, USA Latin America. We do encompass the Latino market, but 85% of the shows that we do here are in English. However, we have a specific population that we do cater to. And welcome to Usala, and we're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to talk to Jordan. Jordan, you are a marketing major. You're also a Temple student in the master's program in marketing. Your undergraduate, tell us a little bit about yourself, and your undergraduate was in what field?
Yeah, so right now I am in my second year of the master's program for strategic advertising and marketing with Temple. And my undergrad, I went to Albright College in Reading, Pennsylvania, so not too far away from here. And I graduated with a degree in public relations and advertising. So as you can tell, I'm very interested in a mass form of different types of media and communications. When I was there, I had an internship as the communications intern, so I wrote various articles for our web as well as for our print, took photos, ran some of the social media. So a lot of the skills that I've learned there, as well as in my previous position as a recruitment consultant, is really what I'm looking to bring to the team here.
Yeah, and interesting, Jordan, we were talking about this before we got into the studio to address this issue of the Hispanic population. It's a new market for you as well, something that will go to your experience eventually when you do expand in your marketing experience. But working with the Latino community is also something new for you. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, exactly. This is something new for me. Really, having this marketing position in general is very new. I really got into marketing in my program last year. So, kind of like what John was saying, that you always want to look for a position that's going to challenge you and get you to teach new things and to learn new things. So, being a part of USILA and getting to engage with more of the Hispanics in the community is definitely something that I'm excited about. I'm looking forward to and looking to see how all of my experiences from prior years can kind of contribute into this.
Yeah, well, very good. This is the spot, really, for that. Now, next, we're going to talk to Allison. Allison, welcome. Welcome to USALA. She's also an intern from Temple University. So we have Temple in the house. I mean, which is a good thing.
Go Owls.
Yeah. Go Owls. That's it. That's it. And so, Allison, tell us a little bit about your experience. This is the first internship that you're doing in videography and multimedia. And so, Allison brings that experience to the table to USALA. She is a third-year grad in the program in the marketing. I'm sorry, in the multimedia area. And tell us a little bit about yourself and why you selected USALA.
Yeah, so I am in my third year. I'm a junior, advertising and media studies and production major at Temple. I selected USALA because, well, I saw it and I was like, I've never really worked within the Hispanic and Latino community, and it's something that, again, like Jordan and John said, it's something I'd love to get involved with different demographics, because I typically only work with the white demographic.
Right.
So USALA gives me that opportunity to really, expand my, knowledge and expand things that I do. I'm very excited I'm doing the videography, so to maybe work with shows in Spanish, to just get that new experiences and get the things that I can take to other things and just do other things with, the Spanish and Hispanic population.
Yeah, well, good. I think, welcome. This is exciting for us. This is the first time that we have interns here at USALA Media. We've had a lot of people come through USALA, but for the first time, we have interns that we are overseeing. And I think it's a great contribution from Temple University and the students to USALA. It gives it a different spin. It gives it a different feel to have that level of experience added to USALA. So, we welcome you and we thank you for selecting USALA as a place to do your internship. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come right back. After when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about a little bit more in depth about the Hispanic community and their contribution, not only here to Philadelphia, but across the board. So we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. You're listening to Voices of Change on USALA Radio with your host, Leslie Acosta and Aisha Richardson.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I wasn't sure if I could do it. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but the teachers, the counselors, they help you. One of the teachers was Miss Araceli. Miss Araceli, she gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll come over and she'll sit there with you until you get it. Thank you, Miss Araceli. I know you make a difference in people's lives because of the person and teacher you are. I wanted to be here because I wanted to thank you for helping me get a beautiful gift. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work. Getting your high school diploma, it is a life-changing experience. It really is.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan.
Find free adult
today.
education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back. You're listening to Voices of Change on USALA Radio with your host, Leslie Acosta and Aisha Richardson. Today we are having an interesting conversation with the interns from Temple University who are doing an internship here at Usala Media. We're excited about that. We're excited of having them here. John, we're excited to have you here and working on that magazine, Usala Magazine. Hopefully you're going to give it a different spin.
Oh,
We
absolutely.
have Jordan in the marketing field doing the marketing for us here at Usala, and we also have Allison doing the videography and the multimedia stuff here for us at Usala. So we welcome you and we thank you for that. Soon we're going to be receiving another phone call or a phone call soon through Zoom, and that's going to be through Christian Fay. Christian Fay is a sound engineer doing also an internship here from Temple University. So we will be he's going to be chiming in real soon in just a minute so we can have a conversation with him and his experience being here with us at Usala Media. Let's talk a little bit about, we're going to switch gears here and just talk a little bit about Hispanic Heritage Month for John, for Jordan, and for Allison. It's a celebration that we are celebrating, interestingly enough, a celebration that commenced in 1968 by President Lyndon Johnson, who introduced, who allowed this to become a national, if you will, celebration for us for 1 month. It was originally it was done for 1 week, and then under President Reagan he extended it for 1 month. And so it's about contribution of the Hispanic community, whether you're Puerto Rican, whether you're Dominican, whether you are Colombian. It's Hispanics in general, and it's interesting because in the Hispanic community, we tend to hear the word a lot interchangeably between Latinos and Hispanics. But in the census of 1973, that changed from Latino to Hispanics because if you say Latino, then you don't know specifically who are you talking, whether you're talking to Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. But when you say Hispanics, then you include everybody in that mix, and that term was actually changed in the census in 1973. So we're celebrating this from September the 15th through October the 15th. Tell me a little bit, I mean, anyone can chime in. What would you, you guys obviously interact with people of color at Temple University. Temple is a very diversified community.
Very
It's
diverse.
Very diverse, very urban, if you will. It's in the heart of North Central Philadelphia. So it's a big city. We're talking about Temple has over the student body there is about 44,000 students at Temple University, and you guys are kind of interacting with all kinds of people that come from all walks of life. In terms of the Hispanic community and what we're talking about, Hispanic Heritage Week, what is your experience dealing with Latinos? Even at campus, I mean, what is that like? We can start with you, John.
Sure. Once you get onto Temple's campus, you notice immediately it is a very diverse
Yes, it
crowd
is.
of people. It's not there's not just one type of people from a certain background. It's just I've met people from so many different countries in all my different classes that I've taken.
Yeah.
And with that comes the different cultures that they bring along as well. So you learn a lot more about the world in that way.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Hispanic Heritage Month runs from last Tuesday, so September the 15th until October the 15th.
That's correct.
And I think it is very important that we do give more recognition to the Hispanic population in America because they, like so many other immigrant populations, have brought so much new innovation into our country. So I think it is very important that
Yeah.
they get more recognition.
Well, and not only that, let me just say this, John. 6% of the entrepreneurs in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the contribution comes from the Latino community. So, we have a lot of entrepreneurs here in the Commonwealth that contribute and pay taxes. And sometimes there's this negative connotation, and rightly so, of the Latino community. Especially here in North Central Philadelphia, but there's a lot of good people and there's a lot of educated Latinos. There's a difference between the Puerto Ricans that live here and the Puerto Ricans that live in the island. 98% of the Puerto Ricans that live in the island are all educated. So education is a very heavy emphasis in the island, which is Puerto Rico. Here in the United States is a different story. But the contribution is very large, is very huge when it comes to the Latino community. Even after the momentum of the civil rights movement of 1960, that movement then translated into the Latino community where they pushed their way also through in terms of their contribution.
Yes.
Specifically here in Philadelphia, the political climate when it comes to the Latino, we really didn't have a voice here. Then you had individuals like Ralph Acosta, my father, who was a state rep for 10 years in the House of Representatives. You had contributions from Angel Ortiz, from Fred Ramirez, from Benjamin Ramos. So that political movement really began for us in the 70s, where we pretty much pushed our way through, and a lot of contributions came out of that. And so my success when I became a state rep, Angel Cruz, who's now a state rep, and other people that came after was because they were the trailblazers for us and for that movement. So there's been a lot of contribution here, and there's been a lot of struggle here with the Latino community, but we've seen a lot of progress as well. We need to do more on that front, but that's coming. That's coming. Jordan, tell me a little bit about your experience interaction with the Latino community.
Yeah, so definitely, I guess kind of piggybacking off of John a bunch today, but
Yeah.
one thing that I really love about Temple is that you do get to see a variety of different cultures all coming together really for really kind of the same thing. And each person brings a different type of opinion and idea, and, all of those coming together really makes what we are today. So while I don't have a huge at least right now, experience with the Latino community, more specifically in Philadelphia. That's something that I'm really excited for and really looking to grow towards. And that's one of the reasons, I did choose UCLA Media for the job here as the Director of Marketing and Sales. Another big thing is I love that you guys are very, you're not opinionated in the news. We're doing very, there's no fake news or anything. That's such a huge problem in the media today, something that we're really definitely looking to change. So the fact that UCLA Radio is doing that and just is giving everything just to, here's what's happening, and this is just what it is. I think that that's really great, and just looking forward to learning more, interacting with more people, getting to know the hosts of the show a lot better, getting to know their shows, and seeing what we can do in order to push that out as far as the marketing and advertising goes.
Yeah. Allison, you're from New York, actually Long Island.
Long Island.
Listen, you come from a state that is very diversified.
Yes.
I think in New York, if my memory doesn't fail me, there's over thousands of languages that are spoken in New York.
Yes, there is.
It's like the epic center.
It's because we have New York City, so we have people from everywhere.
From everywhere. It's like the microcosm of diversity in New York. So you obviously have had a lot of interaction, not only with the Latino community, but interaction with all kinds of people.
100%.
Yeah, so that's why you're so comfortable, right?
Yeah.
You're so comfortable in the interaction. But tell me a little bit about that. New York, right? You selected Temple University. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
So you're right. I have had a lot of experience, with diverse people. Growing up, my best friend is Latina. Her mom's Puerto Rican and her dad's Cuban.
Yeah.
So growing up, I ate the Hispanic foods. I learned all about the culture and everything, and that was great. Because that's how I grew up, and not even just Hispanic, but I grew up in a very diverse place where there was people of everyone, people of all cultures.
Yeah.
And then coming to Temple, that continues. Temple's a very diverse school. So we see people of all cultures and everything walking around campus. One thing though, which we talked about a few weeks ago, in the media and communication school, there's not a lot of Latinos within the school. So I think that's kind of a downfall. And we've discussed this before, that within the community, even though Temple has such a diverse population and there's so many Latinos and Hispanics, just within the media community, there's not that many. And that's something that I think needs to change, and something needs to be worked on to get the Hispanics to really want to get into media.
Yeah, and that was a huge challenge for us, because when we made the request, we requested 4 Latino sound engineers and multimedia folks and marketing and journalism, and we got none. And so that is a huge I would say, hole that we have to fill. Uh, you know, it's needed, you know, because we do have programs here in Spanish, or we do have hosts that only speak Spanish. And so, yeah, it would be great to have more Latinos, but we can't really find them. The good thing is you can eat rice and beans, right?
Yes.
So that's a good thing. I at least I know I can make some rice and beans, and
Oh,
you will
yes,
eat it.
100%.
Well, good. Hopefully I think we have Christian on the line, and we would like Christian Lacey to chime in here for a minute. Christian, how are you? I can hear you perfectly well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm here in the USILA office. Glad to be talking with you guys.
Oh yeah, I'm glad to talk to you. I know you're from New York as well. Is that right?
Yeah, my seems like my personal story is pretty similar to Allison's, where like one of my best friends growing up, he was Colombian,
Mm.
and it gave me this really like this sense of Latinos. They're very hardworking and strong people because his father was one of the victims of 9/11. His father passed away when we were only 2 or 3 years old, and I watched his single mother raise him and his brother into these very independent, you know, intelligent men. And now, like, it goes to show that, you know, with hard work and like perseverance, you know, and you can make a really good life for your family. And yeah, I witnessed that firsthand from just one of the millions of single mothers in this country, and I witnessed it.
Yeah. And you are also a Temple student. I believe in your last year. You're a senior at Temple and the sound engineer. You were a direct referral to us here at USALA. So that means I can kick some Spanish to you, and you can understand me perfectly well. Is that right, Christian?
No, I might pick up a few phrases, a little bit of lingo here and there, just from what I've heard, but only un poquito. Un poquito. Can I speak? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good. Well, you know, we welcome you and thank you for what you're doing for us here at USALA. Christian Lacey is a sound engineer here for us. We also have Olivia. Olivia is behind the scenes as well. You can't see her, but we see her. And she is doing a fantastic job. She is doing the best that she can. She is a student as well, learning this stuff. And we don't, here's another interesting thing. We do not have a lot of females as sound engineers. And that is not her field. She's learning that, but it's not her field. And we thank her for that. Even Allison, she's getting a little experience in that. And I think it's important also to expand, to have more females, because you don't have a lot of females in the multimedia communications. Is not, it's controlled by men. Nah, I'm not too happy about that.
You'd be surprised. My graduate program,
Yeah.
it's way more women right now than there are men in our classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, right? I think we need that. I think certain fields and certain subjects, for whatever the reason, society says no, it's something that a male can't do or a female can't do. I think that we're breaking those barriers. What do you think, Jordan?
It's 2020.
2020.
We're breaking them. There's just no such thing as gender roles
Right,
anymore.
right.
Everyone can do anything that anyone else can do.
Yeah, John, and you know what? We have more females interns than males. So there's only 2 males and 3 females. So you
Yes.
guys are outnumbered
We
here.
are.
How do you feel about that?
I'm fine with it. I think it's good that there's more diversity in this field.
Yeah.
I've met so many different female journalists that make me reconsider my career choice. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of really good ones out there, and I'm
Yeah.
really glad that we're getting to a point where
I have no complaints at all. I think Olivia is doing an amazing job with very little training from someone as dumb as me. She was able to pick it all up and
Yeah.
probably surpass me in that little bit of time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad to have her by my side.
Absolutely. Allison, thank you also, and even Olivia, you know, because it's a learning process here. And with media and technical stuff, it's you know, it's work in progress. And so, Olivia, thank you for your contribution, and thank you for helping us out with such little training she is doing this. And also Allison, and all you guys. Thank you, John. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for believing in us and selecting USALA as your place to do your internship. We have concluded this special edition of USALA on Voices of Change, and we'll come back again at some point and do this interview with the interns after they have gained a little bit more experience and they can talk a little bit more about their experience here at USALA Media. So you're listening to Voices of Change on USALA Media with your host, Leslie Acosta and Aisha Richardson, and we will see you soon on another segment, on another episode with all these interns, great interns that we have here on USALA Media. Thank you, and thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next up is Voices of Change with your hosts, Leslie Acosta.